Good evening to all of you joining in globally. Welcome to another session of RecRoute. We are conducting the eighth session today. So, Monster RecRoute is an initiative by Monster.com to connect leaders in the HR and recruiting space with aspirational TA professionals through a series of live webinar sessions. The idea is to share the learnings, trends, and best practices to empower and enable them to keep up with the fast changing recruiting industry. So before I begin, let me introduce you to the topic for today. And we have a brilliant topic that is decoding the current talent scenarios. Pandemic has completely changed the way we hire, manage, and retain talent. Now, if you look at also, the world opening up and employees returning to work, what is we should prioritize how a leader can engage better and what to make the great resignation as of a debate. Now, if you also look at that, since that's an interesting topic, let me also introduce the speaker for the hour. Let me, to talk about more on these topics, we have Gaurav Sharma, Vice President and Head Human Resources, True Balance. Gaurav is an HR leader with 17 plus years of experience in leading multi-divisional teams at global corporations like Network 18, Sahara India Parivar, Ranbaxy, Bosch India, and Hero Honda Motors as well. To name a few, he's enthusiastic about conceptualizing strategies, initiatives in areas of human resource management and talent acquisition alongside strategy. Gaurav has various awards and accolades to his name, and he is recipient of 100 Most Influential Global Leaders Award by World HRD Congress and CHRO Asia 2016. He is also a Global Fellow of Talent Management at the Wharton School and Timken Gold Medalist at International School of Business and Media. Welcome to RecRoute, Gaurav. Over to you. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you so much for introducing me, and thanks to Monster and to the entire team of Monster for giving me the opportunity to connect with the global audience to share my thoughts about this topic. Good evening and good afternoon to all of you, depending upon your time zones. We are in India and it's almost around 3 o'clock here. So a warm welcome to all of you for in this session. And I definitely let's know about each other. I would like to know if you can drop your location in the chat window from which all locations you have joined in. I would be more than keen to know about the cities from where you are participating in this webinar. Okay, we have people from Hyderabad, Calcutta, Bhubaneswar, okay, Kuala Lumpur. Great. So we have people from India as well as from Southeast Asian countries, and great to know about all of you. Thank you so much for taking out time and joining this webinar, UAE also. Okay, I want to launch a poll and want to understand from you guys about the hiring or from which industries you are currently hiring. So here's the poll question that would be coming on your screen. I want to understand the industries that you are hiring for. Just choose the option. Okay, great. So interesting results. We have diverse background and people from diverse industry backgrounds. But then, yes, majority of the people, it looks like, are from the IT industry. Great. So we have 87% participation in this poll. And let me end this poll and share the results with all of you. We have 68% people who are doing hiring for IT, ITS, and BPO sector, and this followed by 15% for other sectors. We have oil and gas and petroleum, education, banking, e-commerce, hotel industry. So I'm sure that 15% would include the manufacturing and other areas as well. Great. So good to know that we have diverse industry background that will make this interaction or presentation more interesting. I would also get a chance to learn from you based on the questions that you will be seeking. Uh, so what I would be launching another poll. What is the biggest hiring challenge that you are facing? I think you can see the poll. We have 77% participation so far. I would request everybody to participate in the poll because it will help me in understanding your background about your challenges, and then we can fine tune the presentation in a way that becomes meaningful for you guys. So we have around 90% participation. Great. So we have 93% participation, and let me share the results with you. Sourcing and attracting the right candidate and last minute candidate dropouts are the two biggest challenge. I'm sure it is coming from majority of it is coming from IT and ITES industry, where a lot last minute dropouts are happening because of multiple offers. And then obviously shortage of the skill talent, building a strong employer brand and ensuring a good candidate experience. Right. Great. So let's start the presentation, and let me take you through let me share my screen first. I hope you all of you can see my screen. So we are here to decode the current talent scenario, and this is a easy as well as a complex topic. When this topic was given to me, I was just thinking that how we can decode the current talent scenario. So obviously, we post pandemic, many things have changed. Expectations from the employees have changed. So what I summed up is that what I will be covering today is how do I prioritize now or as well we all return to work? So what should be my priorities? How have the organization experience priorities have changed in the last 2.5 years? And as such, we have to talk about in totality about the employee value proposition, and that can only happen when we have a strong leadership. So the candidate dropout, attracting a good talent, and the skill shortage is all dependent upon how your leadership and organization are responding to these situations. So how the leadership can engage better with the talent, and there's a great resignation, there's a great talent war which is going on. How do I deal with it? And then the talent acquisition, how to become the employer of choice. Right, all these things are easier said than done because there's a process. Obviously you cannot become an employer of choice overnight. There's no magic wand that you just say that okay, overnight if I do something, then I'll become an employer of choice. It does not happen that way, right? So with this I want to launch another poll. I want to know your response. How many of you agree that in the current talent landscape there is chaos? We have around 72% participation. I'll request everybody to participate in this poll. Okay, as expected, I'm seeing there's almost 91% of the people feel that there is chaos in the current landscape. That's why if there's a chaos, it becomes very complex to decode the current talent scenario, isn't it? So, but then there's a follow-up question which I want to know. What do you feel about this chaos? Whether it is good, it is bad, or you are neutral, or you are indifferent towards it. We have 75% participation. We request everybody to participate. Because that gives me the flavor of the audience that what actually the challenges you are facing. We have 80% participation. Great. So let me share the results. Very interesting results. And there are 15% people. This chaos is good. Uh, Definitely, it would have if it would have been interactive. I would have loved to know that what are the feelings that why you feel it is good. but 48% people feel that it is bad, and 37% people are neutral towards it. Like this is interesting. Reason, look, chaos. Let me give you a brief about the industrial revolutions, that how this started. So if you remember, the first revolution started in roughly around 1700s, and when this revolution started, there was introduction to machines, the chemical manufacturing started, the textile industry became fully mechanical. So from hand weaving, people started shifting to the machine weaving, and suddenly textile industry came into the boom. So there was chaos before that, right? And it led to certain revolution where we feel now this is the norm, right? Second revolution started, which was electrical revolution. The lines became more electrified. The steam power came into the system. The production lines were electrified, and things went on a fast pace. So speed was the key. And then initially it was chaos, that how we'll shift, and there were people who were getting going through this turbulent phase. They said that we don't know what will happen, whether the jobs will remain there or jobs will not remain there. But then ultimately resulted into the lots and lots of job creation, right? Third revolution started when the automation came in. So a lot of lines were automated, the assembly lines were introduced, the mass production started, the computer and electronics started taking in. And we were aware about the forecastings, the company became more and more efficient. Before that, also, there was a lot of hue and cry about this, that whether the computers are taking over. Right? And then the fourth industrial revolution started, which was the connected revolution, where we talked about internet started becoming more prominent. The geographies were connected, the demand somewhere were resulting into the manufacturing somewhere. We became more of a global world, global economy, and the Internet of Things, the cyber security, everything started falling in place. So what this fifth industrial revolution, which is leading to the current chaos, I know that you guys are feeling good about it, bad about it, but definitely there's some revolution going on. Yes, if you look, earlier there was a gap of around 100 years between these revolutions, but then this industrial revolution has kicked in earlier, and I personally feel that this pandemic actually pushed this revolution little early into our current talent landscape as well. Now, what is this fifth industrial revolution? Is it not work at all? No, obviously I'm joking. It is more about that how the current skill set, how we will be seeing the jobs emerging which were not even existing before. So what it will be and what it will settle down, what will become a new norm, we have still to see. There are a lot of things, a lot of variable currently operating on, and in the future we will see that a lot of things becomes normal. They will become the norm, and then once you will look back at those things, you'll say, okay, we were unnecessarily getting disturbed about this, but then now this has become norm, and this is creating more jobs, right? So if you look at the World Economic Forum report, it says that roughly around 60 million people will be displaced from their current job. So is this a gloomy scenario? No, I would not say this is the gloomy scenario, because the same report also says that 75 million new jobs would be created because of these new things which are coming, the big data, the machine learning, the artificial intelligence. There will be new jobs which will be created. So let's go to the another slide. So COVID has really made us. It is a scenario which I think our generations, or even I'm a bit old, but then we have not seen such type of things in our working life, right? But many of the new people who are coming in, for them who recently joined the organizations, this is a new norm, and these people are shaping up the current new norm for the organizations. Right, so I try to condense of what has happened, and I will also try to talk about in next 2 or 3 slides about what people are expecting, what is hybrid mode, what people are expecting, and how it will go. But then what I feel that work-life balance has suddenly become sacrosanct. Right, families have become important. People saw that the importance of the families when the COVID is struck. They realized that family is very important. They were running up the money. Suddenly, families became more and more important, right? And things have changed. So people are looking forward to that balance. They want to dedicatedly work. Definitely, they want to dedicatedly work, but at the same time, they want to give the time to their families also, right? So there were two choices available. Either you let the employee decide whether you want to work from home or office, like Google, Twitter, or Facebook, or you order them to come back to the office, like many of the companies are doing, like Bank of America, right? Like we all are capitalists. We all want people to come to the office, isn't it? But then, yes, and at last, if we can't decide, we said, okay, we are going hybrid. Right? We are not able to decide what is the model that will work for us. So we said that, okay, let's go hybrid. And hybrid is the easiest way out, isn't it? So now, if you look at there was a survey conducted which said that the work from wherever the work from home is possible. I'm obviously not talking about the brick and mortar industry or the manufacturing lines, but then I'm talking about the industries where the work from home was possible. The productivity survey was done by PwC, and around 3,500 managers were surveyed, and they said that the productivity has either increased or it has remained same. Right? And 27% felt that the productivity has dipped. Obviously, there could be various reasons where the productivity dipped. Maybe the organization did not adapt it to the virtual workplace or virtual work environment. But then, yes, 73%. That's a massive yes or affirmation to the fact that productivity has remained unaffected due to the work from home. Now, when I said about the manufacturing, yes, obviously in manufacturing, it would have been very, very difficult to adopt to the work from home. But at the same time, in the future, to make the industries shock-proof to such pandemic or unforeseeable circumstances, you will see a lot of robotics and automations or artificial intelligence coming into the manufacturing also at play. Most of the organization in the India or Asian countries did not adapt to the robotics because the labor was cheap. But then now, once they have realized that the cost of non-production is far more higher than investing into this future technology, I think more and more companies will shift to the more of the automated and robotic technologies in the manufacturing as well. So hybrid, yes. Organizations have scheduled lots and lots of hybrid work models, which is at will employees are able to. I'm sure that you all are aware of all these models. Whether employees have been given chance, okay, whenever you want to come to the office, please do come to the office, or employers are assigning the remote working days, and there's a split week, or the work from home days and work from office days, or the managers have been given the empowerment that you choose the time specific for your team, or a mix, a combination of all these three. Right? Look, your employees want you to embrace the hybrid workplace. It is more specific in terms of the IT and ITs industries because the current talent that we are hiring from the freshers or the new talent that we are hiring from the campuses, for them, the new norm is that give you the flexibility. Also, the research that has been right now conducted by the Wakefield also said that 40%, 47% of the employees will look for another job if the flexibility isn't offered by the employer. And that's a very, very huge number if you're fighting for one person. I'm sure that for the engineering hire or for the coders, when you are hiring, you are making choices of 1 out of 10, and then that 1% also drops. So imagine that 47% is a huge, huge number. If you have to imagine that you have to replace 47% of your workforce if you are not flexible. So why I'm talking about this is because this is linked with whether you becoming employer of choice, whether how you are managing your talent, so that you are not actually lagging behind in this great talent war which is going on in the market. Right. So, but then why hybrid? Yes, why hybrid? We all are aware that we have talked about balance. We have talked about the flexibility. We are talking about attracting the talent because if your organization comes across as a very flexible organization, obviously it will help in attracting talent and retaining talent, and obviously reducing the exposure to the illness. I'm not only talking about the illness, the COVID-related illness, but then you know that there was monkeypox scare, there was other scares like So all these exposures would be limited. So your organization will be shock-proof in the future also if any such pandemic strikes again, right? Obviously, your operational cost goes down because you are reducing the office expenses, but that expense you are actually utilizing to bring the good talent, right? And yes, there's a lower expense. So now that you are hybrid, what next? Right? Hybrid will not work. Like you saw that 27%, I just referred to this slide, 27% of the organization felt or managers felt that productivity dipped. So introducing hybrid will not only solve the problem or will not give the flexibility, because if your organization is not productive, ultimately it will not be able to survive. So investment in the virtual collaboration tools is very, very important. uh, Obviously, the culture building remains one of the toughest challenges in the work from home or the virtual environment. So, how you are fostering the virtual leadership, that also is very, very important. Right? Translate work culture to virtual culture. Create the employee personas. Now, when I'm talking about the employees personas, it's like that you create a virtual avatars which actually represent your employee, the way you want the employees to embrace the culture, the way they are behaving, the core values they exhibit, these personas will be visible to all the employees, and they can see, okay, this type of behavior is appreciated in the organization. This is the DNA of our organization. So that's what when I talk about employee personas, it is very important when you want to create a virtual culture in the virtual organization. And also, it is very important that you keep on collecting the employee feedback, because out of sight and out of mind should never happen. Employee feedback is very, very important. You need to know the pulse of the employees, because the coffee chat or the informal chats, once they are minimized, then yes, it is important that you connect with the employees regularly. You take the pulse and action on it, right? Also, recently we also conducted a survey in our organization, and we wanted to know the stress level. Since we have given hybrid, we were assuming that employees would be less stressed and employee would be feeling that okay, work life balance is there. But to our surprise, we realized that the employees who are in the work from home mode, they are far more stressed as compared to the people who are coming to the office. Reason is, in virtual, if your manager pings you and if you do not reply in 5 minutes, then there's an immediate pressure whether my credibility or my performance will be viewed negatively. So employees are under constant pressure that they have to be available online. They have to be demonstrating those critical incidents which will give them the higher performance rating. So it is very important that they are remain always online. Even when they are taking lunch or they are going on the washroom breaks, they are in a hurry to come back during the office hours. So obviously, this is increasing the stress. How you are managing these things also becomes important. So it's important that you remain connected with the employee, keep talking to the employee, so that you create a place where the employee feel stress free. They feel that okay, this is the place where my productivity would be the highest. Right? There should be no trigger which creates with no trigger or panic which pushes the employee to look for the opportunities outside. Because believe in me that if any employee, if you're a good organization, if any employee has started looking out, then there will be many hands to pick him up if he's a good employee. Right? So, how did it all work out after all during pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and post-pandemic? So obviously the conventional wisdom I'm talking about. Look how the things have quickly changed before 2020, and now we are talking 2020, 2022, end of 2022. So in 2.5, 3 years, how things have changed. So earlier conventional wisdom was considered as most important. Offices were critical to productivity culture and winning the talent war. I remember that when we were scouting for the office, we were saying that okay, we should be having the office at a prime place, and how the office look and feel should be, so that whenever person comes to our office, he says, okay, this is a good company to work with. Their office is at a prime location. Their office looks swanky, and let me join this organization. No more that is the norm. I think employees are not looking for a great office. Employees are looking for some other things, which we have already discussed. Now, competition for prime office major space in the urban sector was earlier there. Physical meetings with the client and other stakeholders. Even if your vendors were coming or interviews, if the person was not coming to the office or face-to-face meeting, you were not even considering them for the selections. Barring few companies, yes, but then most of the companies were saying that the face-to-face interview is required or necessary. The mentorship was easier because the person was available all the time in the office. So the mentorship became easier. You were able to see where the guidance is required, and inter-team interactions were far more easier. It was just walking across the other desk and talking about something where they were stuck. Now, what happened during pandemic? The modern collaboration technologies kicked in. The Zoom, the Microsoft Teams, or the Google Meet started coming in, and people started shifting to the video conferencing or screen sharing, right? And the look I also feel that the generation which was very conventional, for them it was very difficult to shift to these new norms, but then I think they also adapted very well. A lot of people who were not at all comfortable talking on mobile phones or through the video conferences started becoming comfortable. Digital file storage came into the picture. Like many companies adopted the Google Suites or the Microsoft collaborative platforms, right, where the file sharing or simultaneously working was possible, right? The digital whiteboards came into the forum, that everybody was explaining the things using the digital whiteboards or the collaborative technologies. Now coming to the post-pandemic, uh, the face-to-face approach has been dropped. In fact, many of the hiring decisions are just taken on the basis of the virtual interviews itself. Even the client and vendor interactions are happening face-to-face. So this is the new norm. If the organization, not many employees are ready to come to the office for interviews. Right? They said we can take 1 hour. Please conduct the interview virtually. We are okay virtual, but then we will not be able to come for the interviews. And if you are remain adamant of calling them to the office, maybe you will lose that candidate, right? So non-verbal cues where the firm handshake or look at the eye movement, looking at the left or looking at the right, it is a smile or something like that, which this was earlier the norm, but then I think that is now no more valid. Hybrid model has been adopted by many. The brainstorming is now becoming more synchronous on the digital channels. Earlier, there was one-way approach in the town halls. The leadership was talking, and yes, the questions were raised. But in the digital, people are not hesitant in asking the questions or even dropping the questions in the chat window in the anonymous formats. Right? Earlier, people have become more and more assured of the technology and confidentiality. Like the people who were afraid of asking questions to the leadership are now asking questions virtually because they are aware if the organization is promoting the anonymous questions. So ideas are getting incorporated from across the organizations, unlike older times where this meeting was chaired by one person. Right? So this is becoming a new norm, and new norms means that you have to keep your ego aside. The leadership has to become more inclusive in terms of yes, experience does matter, but at the same time, the good idea can come from any place. Right? This is the approach that the organization have to adopt. Now, just look at what I was talking at the beginning, and this is very interesting study by the World Economic Forum. 9% of the job in the coming 4 or 5 years would be 9% of the workforce will be deployed in the new jobs that does not exist today. So I think it is very difficult to imagine also what these jobs could be. But if you look at 5 years back, 5 years back, uh, the in the banking industry, say suppose the credit analyst job itself was not there. Like we are talking about the machine learning expert, the artificial learning expert, the big data analyst, and the data mining tools. These were the jobs which were earlier not existing. Uh, I think somebody has raised hand. Can we take the questions later on in the Q&A session? So I'll take your question later once we have a Q&A session. But going ahead with this, so 9% of the job in the future, also in the next 4 or 5 years, which do not exist here, and 37% of the people who are deployed right now in any of the functional domain or any of the job will have their skill set completely changed. Now, let me give you an example of HR folks, right? Uh, I think the skill set required earlier, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, is very different for the HR managers also, right? You have to be you have to be internet savvy. You have to have the good networking skills rather than waiting for the employees to come to you. You should be proactive enough to reach out to the employees to know the pulse, right? There's no paper and pencil approach where you expect people will fill in the survey forms and you expect. So there's a lot of informal undercurrents that goes on, and the HR person need to know those pulses and the feedback, right? So the skill set is changing. The competence required to perform a job effectively is changing, right? While remain 54% of the job will remain unchanged. So people, it's not that the entire skill set will change or will go for a dramatic change. Things will 54% of the jobs will remain there. So the people like just give an example, like in the assembly line, if the robotics does not come in the next 4 5 years, yes, the assembly line will continue to function like that. But most of these skilled works of which I call it as a white collared workforce will have to undergo these skill set changes. Now there are two scenarios that could emerge out from this. Either the organization which is seeing or foreseeing the future talent demand, they will start investing in the current talent to make them future ready. So there is no shortage of the talent when they need it. Or the organization will start building the pipeline. Like many of the organizations hires the management trainees or graduate engineers training, and they'll start molding them in the new skill set which will be required. Right. So it is important that your leadership engages with the people, uh, engages. So that's actually the step towards becoming the employer of choice. Because if your leadership is engaging with the talent or is demonstrating that value for the organization, then attracting talent or proving your worth in the market or becoming more and more efficient, then is will automatically come. So knowledge is power, right? So obviously, by knowing that what is the present and what the future company will need, the agendas and the market competition to scale up performance is the key to success, right? So it is important for the leaders to set up the right KPIs and KRAs, and for themselves also. Like, okay, they are setting the expectations for the employees, but it is important for them as a leader also to demonstrate that they are also very transparent about the KPIs, because everything is now virtual. Right. Earlier, people used to say, okay, even I have my KPIs, but I think it is better that these KPIs have the visibility across the organization for the leaders also. Right. We talk about the chaos theory. It is more about what is not known to us. Right. So this is basically based on the incidents that if the things were unknown, that how the organization reacted in that crisis. Right. It's an informative model for the organization in crisis. So there should be a demonstrated ability for the organization or through its leadership that whenever there is a chaos, the organization can take the immediate and precise action to and a decision making which is scalable and which is rapid, which is fast, right? And the talent of strategy obviously translate into the talent and organizational requirement. There are things, so control what is in control. There will be variables which will be out of control. So rather than talking about those variables which are not in control, let's talk about the variables which are in our control, where we can influence. So there's a circle of concern and circle of influence. Yes, obviously the good leadership will always be talking about that circle of influence, right? Where they have to keep the doors open for the creative approach that can come from anyone, right? That can come from the freshly hired person also, that can come from a person with only 2 years of experience. So things have to be demonstrated by the leaders if you want to become the employer of choice. Another is there are a few more points. Decide the way forward, right? So choosing the right direction is important, right? And where we are headed for the long term and mid term. So the prioritization of the task should be there. The leader should be able to communicate effectively to all the employees that these are our priorities, and this is the direction that where we are headed. Right. The leadership also should make the impactful interactions. Right. They should convey the organization priorities. They should focus on the talent attraction and retention. Look again, talent attraction and retention is not only HR's responsibility. If the leadership of that particular function or department or division is not making effort to ensure that the talent is being taken care of, then the HR will can continue to keep on filling the leaking pot and then never be able to overcome the shortages of the talent, right? Strengthen connections with the essential and non-essential workers. It is not that okay, you feel that okay, only this section of the people are important, so I'll talk to only these people. No, it has to be the inclusive leadership, right? Because the mass forms the undercurrents in the organization. So it is better that you remain connected, and technologies can bring the parties together, obviously. So this, and second is you should be seen as a decision maker where the speed is important rather than the control. So decision should not be about to bring in more controls, but it is about the speed. It is about the right direction, right? So two-way decision making, a two-way door decisions is always important because otherwise the team will feel the lack of empowerment, right? And also ensure that the leadership at the second level or third level is completely empowered to take the decisions. If any chances come that they escalate the decisions to you, that means that there is a chance to coach them and to empower them to take decisions. And as said by, if you remember that there was an article about Lord Janus who had there's a Roman god which has the ability to look forward as well as look backward, right? And I hope and I wish that if all the individuals or organization have this ability to look forward as well as look backward. So what your customer needs vis-a-vis what are the skills and competencies will be required to drive your business in the future, right? Invest in developing those skill set in the people, right? You cannot get the 100% market fit from the market. Like if the manager, some department says, I want these skill set like at this scale, it is obviously impossible to get the absolute market fit. So obviously it is better the person who are already there in the organization, invest in them, invest in the high potential, develop these skills, right? What we really good at, say suppose we are really good at this thing, what else we can do with this particular skill set that we have already have, but that does not mean that we will not develop the new skills that will be needed for the future, right? Learn from past mistakes, learn from feedback, learn to shift and survive, shift to the survive mode. And many of the organization, when they were hit by the COVID, there was a question of survival. Obviously, a lot of organizations went in for mass layoffs also, but then at that time it was required. Don't repent about the layoffs that has happened because of the COVID, and they feel that our employer branding has taken a hit. We'll not be able to hire more people. It is absolutely a myth. You can, if one perception you can create the wrong image of the organization, or one incident can create wrong image. There are 20 more, 30 more chances that you will get to create a very good image about your organization. So please continue to focus on building the right image of the organization. Even if somebody is talking about the layoffs and all, please confidently tell those candidates about the circumstances that actually forced you to do the right sizing, and then how you are focusing on the future. Don't repent about that. Don't say sorry about that. So there's an interesting stats which came to me. Yes, obviously, great resignations are happening, and people are feeling that there's a shortage of talent in the market. Why? Because still there are a lot of talent coming in the market, right? But then still people feel that there is a shortage. You know why? Uh, as per the study by the Goldman Sachs in 2020, it was estimated that 5 million people have left the workforce. Keep in mind that this does not include the people who have shifted to the another job or another company. These people left the corporate world. Maybe they wanted to start something on their own, or maybe they have built their own money. But then this is a massive shortfall if the 5 million skilled workforce goes out of the corporate or from the talent market. If this continues to happen, yes, obviously that means that things will always lead to the shortage of the talent. Right? So important to look at these stats when we are saying that 6% of the employees are looking for job outside because they are looking for opportunities outside. Uh, 54% workers feel current employers don't take their aspirations into account enough. When I talked about the leadership, it is important that your leaders are well connected with the workforce. So every employee feel important. Every performing employee or good employee. 43% of the workers feel that they are simply burned out. 74% highly skilled workers feel that they are better or more opportunities elsewhere. Look, unknown devil is always exciting. So people will always feel, okay, maybe the another organization will be better. But it is better that you as an organization create a workforce where people feel more comfortable and actually get motivated to perform better. 62% of the employees feel it is very important for their work to align with their values, passions, and interests. Right? If they are not able to create that balance, yes, they will feel that they will get the feeling of the burnout. Right? So I guess it is as real as it gets. So what are the tactics for the employee growth and benefits? Set goals. That is very, very important. Like in the virtual space, if the employees are clueless about the goals, about the tasks that they have to perform, it is very difficult for them because they will be always under the pressure to perform. Virtually, it is very, very difficult for them to get the recognition. So it is important that you set the goals and there's a management performance management system to ensure that those critical incidents or the performance is recorded. Promote the diversity and inclusion. Look, D&I has been a much talked topic from every quarter, but I think the virtual workplaces have also given the chance to increase the diversity and inclusion. Why I say that? Because lot of workforce earlier, a lot of people were not able to take job because of the office travel or because of the balance in the work life. But then right now, I think the organization have also got a real chance to increase the diversity in their workforce. Be mindful of the employee health. When I talk about the physical health, no, I'm also talking about the mental health. So that's why feedback is important. Keep on connecting with the employee. And also that fun element because we are virtually, uh, after all, we are human beings. So create a room for the light-hearted conversations, right? The organization or the manager should not only connect, or even the HR people should not only connect for the employee feedback or for doing the transactional affairs. I think what happens besides the coffee machine, that conversation should keep on happening even in the virtual rooms also. Connect with the employees for 5 minutes. Are you free? I want to talk to you. Develop managers, right? The next biggest challenge that I foresee is the lack of the management skills because virtually it is very, very difficult to manage the team. So develop your managers who can take up the manager's role or managing the team's role in the future, because this is the shortage which every organization will be feeling or seeing in the next 2 to 3 years. Give employee reasons to stay. When I say reasons to stay, reasons to leave can be many and any. Like they feel burnout, they feel they are more stressed out, the work-life balance is not there. But then, if whatever good things you are doing, publish it, market those things so that employees realize the importance. Sometimes we take things for granted. Okay, this happens everywhere. This organization is also doing. No, many organizations may not be doing those such things which you are doing. So give them those reasons, market them in a way that they feel that okay, this is the best organization that they are working for. As I've been time and again saying that utilize the employee feedback, not only take it, action it also, and communicate that these were the feedback which we have already taken. Recognize and acknowledge work so that you can communicate a positive message that even the virtual out of sight is not out of mind. We are appreciative of the fact that there is good work or good performance going on somewhere, and there should be zero tolerance policy. Look, I'm touching up a very sensitive topic. I think we all were aware about the harassment, the sexual harassment, or the workplace harassment. Uh, People who feel that in the virtual workplace it cannot happen, yes, definitely it can happen. So be sensitive to about these things because this can create a trigger for the employee, a good employee, to leave the organization. please have a zero tolerance policy, communicate effectively about the measures that you are taking to ensure that there's a zero or no tolerance policy for such things. With this, I'm ending this presentation. That was my last slide. I would be happy to take the questions. Noel, thank you so much. Should I stop sharing right now?
Yeah, sure. You can go ahead and stop sharing your screen as well. So, guys, in case you have any questions, I guess it was absolutely a brilliant session. I'm sure that we will have a lot of questions. So, I welcome all of you to please drop in your questions on the chat box. It'll be amazing if you could, ask, a couple of questions as well. So, a few participants have already raised hands. So, in case you can just unmute yourself and talk, that'll be amazing too. So let me just check if I can unmute yourself and talk too. But if you can drop in your responses on the chat box, that will be amazing. All right, let's just give it 2 minutes for the questions as well. Give me one moment. All right.
No questions are coming. Either my presentation was explanatory, or maybe people have not understood anything. But then I think there is one question.
Sure.
What do we do if the employees come up with another offer and expect the same from our organization? Do we need to drop them out, or how do we handle it?
Look, yes, we have questions dropping in now at the moment, Gaurav. So probably we can start off with Vaishnavi's question. That'll be great.
Okay. So, Sai, very good question. And in fact, all of us are facing it. From my experience, what I can tell is that, look, your organization, what is the example that you want to set, right? There's no easy answer to it. Let me tell you, there is no easy answer to it, because the cost of replacement definitely is going to go very high. But then with this, are you creating a ripple effect of other resignations where then people come and say that, okay, let me also resign and see that if I can get the counter offer? And that can happen. So you have to evaluate. If you are a very, very lean and thin organization where you feel even 1% employee leaves and there would be a problem, then maybe you can negotiate with the employee. But then if you are working in a large organization, I would never recommend it to do to give the counter offer, because this can create a ripple effect and can create a sense of feeling that employees, when they resign, then only they are valued.
Absolutely. Thank you so much there for answering that question. I reckon with that. We also have another question from Devarshi: how to hire candidates if the management of the company does not realize the importance of 5 days working and still believes in 6 days working policy? I guess that's another brilliant question.
Okay. Look, I can quote the example. I was working with a very large group, and that large group had, this was pre-pandemic, and that group was facing the difficulty in getting the talent. Look, for the organization, if the management is not realizing, I think your job as an individual is to ensure that you keep on sounding off. But that does not mean that you will stop hiring the best of the talent. I think still there would be people available for working 6 days a week also. But having said that, it does not mean that you should give up efforts in convincing the employer that if you want to get a better talent in the organization, it's better to shift to 5 days, or it's better to provide more flexibility. Even 6 days working is fine, provided you can provide some flexibility to the employees, whether it work from home or hybrid model or not. So it all depends upon. I think you have to continuously engage with your management, talk about it. It's easier to give up, but then I think you will come out with the flying colors if you keep on trying to convince. And I told you that I was working for a very large conglomerate. It was having pre-pandemic 6 days working, and pre-pandemic only I convinced them to shift to 5 days working. So easy way was out was that, okay, I give up and say that, okay, things are not changing. Let me hire a mediocre talent. That's not the way that the thing should function. And so I would request you to please keep on trying. Someday or the other, you will get success.
That's a great point that you've shared as well, Gaurav. Thank you so much. I'm sure that we all will agree to that. So now another question as well: where do you see the market heading in terms of opportunities in the coming future?
If I get this question right, I think what you're talking about, there are two set of inferences which I can make out of it. One is whether the what are the skill sets, and second about the talent war, whether it will die down, right? So let me answer. The skill sets obviously are going to will undergo drastic change. You will be more focused on the yes, engineering or the coders will definitely continue to remain in demand. More and more we are shifting virtual, the content creators or the bloggers or the gig working economy may rise in the future. Definitely it is rising, but in the future you will see that one employee working for two, three organizations and giving part-time job, part-time services to every organization. That can also happen. Thirdly, the talent war which is going on, it is likely to intensify in the coming future also. Look, currently the geopolitical scenario has somehow softened the current talent war because of the Ukraine-Russia crisis, whatever is happening there. But I think in the future, once this war stops, again there will be huge expansion by the companies and talent war will intensify.
Absolutely. And, as there are questions coming in, I'd like to pick up some questions as well from, other chat box as well. Uh, the replacement, costs is quite high, and how to manage the salary gap in internal resources bandwidth is the
Okay.
question. Yeah.
So, look, what we have done. Look, the market will always be governed by the demanded compensation. It's very difficult to bridge that gap in one go. But then, what practical strategy that we had adopted? We have introduced the concept of the merit matrix, and let me briefly try to explain what that merit matrix is. So when we hire a person in the system, obviously if the compensation gap is higher as compared to the other people, we try to bring the internal parity as well as the external parity vis-a-vis the performance rating in terms of avoiding the performance hike. So a person, just for an example, a person with the higher compensation or maybe sitting at the 90th percentile with the 5 rating, or a person sitting at the 35th percentile of the with the 5 rating may get a very huge increment difference. Like the person with the 5 rating may get around 12-13%, while the person on the 35th percentile may get around 22% increment in the appraisal. And over a period of time, in 1 year, it is not possible, but then you can continuously try to bridge that gap. And please keep on engaging with the talent where you feel he's fifth and he is lower paid. Don't cover up the compensation in one go, but then please make sincere effort to increase the compensation or bridge the gap.
Absolutely. And as the questions pop in, I guess another question, what are your thoughts on discrepancies in the years of relevant experience and actual skills?
Okay, when I was talking about people are now talking about the good ideas or can come from anywhere, irrespective of the experience, irrespective of the age. So I personally feel that the new generation which is coming into the system is far more ambitious, far more assertive in their opinions, and far more expressive. So earlier also, it's not that the good points were not coming, but I think people were more conservating in expressing those themselves. But then now I think with virtual meeting rooms and all, people have become more expressive. So in the times to come, you will see this more predominant in our working space.
Absolutely. Yes. And it will definitely be predominant. Coming to the next question, it's again from the same person. Example, the candidate has 10 years of experience, but his or her skills is only 5 years worth. But the candidate is still expecting a good pay, to be paid 10 years worth of experience. How would we probably handle that?
Simple answer, drop the candidate. I know it is difficult to search for the replacement, but then please drop that candidate. If he is overpaid sooner or later, he will realize and he will be out of the market very soon.
Yes, totally. Couldn't agree more. And I guess sometimes saying no helps. And if you look at the next question, Gaurav, it says, any tips for attracting early career talent when your brand is still in the growing phase?
Look, if I believe that you are talking about the campus hiring or you're talking about the freshers. How do we get the good slots? How we get the good number of applicants? Look, I think you will have to tap the through the lateral hiring the good alumni base from that campuses that you want to target. And once they start talking, and once they become the example point to the those people, I'm sure that even if you are in the growing phase, you can hire one or two people as alumni base from those from those institute, and try to showcase them or demonstrate your values in the campuses through them. I think we have been doing that, and we have been quite successful. Look, we are also in a startup, and it was very difficult for us to hire from IITs, but then we have got tremendous success when we hired from the lateral hiring mode, and we demonstrated them. We took them for the interviews, and we actually showed that they can take the decision of hiring. So they recruited few people for us from the campuses.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And well, that's a great example as well. And if you look at the next, as we move on to the next question, how one can make the employee engagement activities more interesting while working remotely?
Okay, so I think engagement is not only about having some singing competition or ramp walk or something like that. Engagement is also about continuously engaging with the employees. That's what actually the true engagement means. The taking the employee feedback is also engaging with the employees, right? And actually, not only taking feedback, it is also about actioning on it, right? So if you are doing with the honest intent and good intent and transparently communicating, that's the best engagement method that you can do in the virtual organization. And also, I'm sure that since pandemic is gone, you will be creating certain events and certain days where you'll be calling all the employees together to have fun together, or have chance to interact with the entire team. Do that. Please promote that, and please keep on engaging with the employees. Engagement is not only fun activities. Engagement is a lot more than that.
Agree. Engagement is a lot more than that. I guess the word is quite elaborative, and I'm sure that we can accommodate a lot of activities too. So the next question comes here: despite taking measures to retain talent, employees still leave on a flimsy ground. How do we stop this? And when you have invested on such employee on training and knowledge transfer as well?
Uh, okay, so look, as far as knowledge transfer is concerned, I think more and more organizations, because of the virtual collaborative platform, they are able to tap that tacit knowledge. So if any employee leaves, they are not in the shock, and the business continues as usual, right? But at the same time, if any employee has decided to leave, it is better that you are making every effort to engage the employee and retain them, retain the good talent. But if somebody is leaving on the flimsy ground, ultimately things are not in your hand. Get a good replacement rather than, yes, I'm sure that this is one off case. If all the employees are leaving in the flimsy ground and from your organization, that means there's something drastically wrong with your organization. But if it is only one or two case, then please let them go. It's better to remove the disengaged employee, because that will have a far more worst effect on your entire workforce than having a engaged employee where you can hire from outside.
Absolutely, yes. And Gaurav, do we have any tips for developing a virtual culture?
So as I spoke about that, create the persona, employee personas. It is very important that employees are demonstrated the DNA of the organization. So create virtual avatars. I know it is the investment, but I think organization takes loads and loads of cost in developing the culture. They create the values, they create the vision and mission documents. But I think in virtual, it is important that you create the personas that what and these personas are actually the virtual characters where they are behaving in such a way that if you talk to them, how they respond, how they talk, what they talk about. I think these helps in the organization to demonstrate that these are the values which are actually valued in our organization, and this is the way our employees are expected to behave. Like, give them these virtual avatars a chance to present, and we have been doing that in our organization. Give these virtual avatars a chance to start the webinar like these, that welcome to this and show that our company is this. They start talking with the pride about proud with some pride about the organization. That's the culture that you want to create. That's the culture. If they virtually, so these are your virtual bots also, where they suddenly appear as a pop-up and they start interacting with the employee, that okay, here I am to help you. These Only this is the way that you can create the culture, or communicate the DNA of the organization to others. And please, your leadership should continuously keep on engaging. Culture creation is not only HR's responsibility, it's a collective responsibility. So your leaders who have been working with the organization for a longer period of time, it is the duty of them to continuously engage with the talent, newly hired or old employees, uh, and communicate the right values of this of the company. Create a virtual checklist, or so like in your performance management system, you should demonstrate what are the observable behavior, even virtually, about any core values that you expect employees to display. So displays such as you take proactive measures in connecting with the people when you're stuck with a problem to get that sorted out. So give that examples where people can relate. Okay, this is the thing which I can do. I should not wait. I should proactively connect. And this is the way that you will develop the culture.
True, very true. Couldn't agree more. And I guess the culture sets the right standards up for the organization too. So, coming to another few questions, there are candidates who are not really having offers, but mentioning that they have offers in reality. They are attending the interviews in both the places. So, how do we handle them?
So look, I think generally what we have been doing is that we are going strictly by our budget. It's not that we do not get the employees who are outside our budget. So we have been successful in getting the good talent, and I must tell you that we have been able to attract talent from top tier product companies. And it's not by that we have overshot our budget. We have remained within the budget. So let people talk about. I think you should talk about the value that you will bring to that individual by giving him a chance that if he works in this organization, what is the learning and that value that he will derive? What are the peers? So it is important that you talk about the working group also, about the peers that he will be working with. I think I freely demonstrate that I have people working from XX company, XYZ company in our organization. Do you want to miss a chance to work with such employees? And I think that they really get excited. Yes, obviously, I think there was one question that we do the post offer engagement where we connect with the employees. Yes, we make those employees connect with the offered candidate. Like if I have an employee from Amazon, I make that Amazon employee, connect with my future prospective employee and tell them, okay, this is the good things happening with this organization.
True. And thank you so much for answering that as well. So, do we have to use more portals, for since we are into HR profession? So, how do we get proper talent as per the client's requirement? Any specific portals that we need to probably look up to or something?
Look, is this coming from some person who is in the business of providing the talent to the organization? I guess so. Right? Is my assumption correct, Noel?
We just have anonymous names here, Gaurav. That will be hard to tell, but yeah, we can probably
Look,
maybe look at it that way as a perspective.
it is important that you understand that organization's DNA first, that what type of people would fit in, rather than making a futile attempt to provide them the volumes and ultimately candidates drop out and your image goes for a toss, that people from them are not joining this organization. So rather than that, I think it is better you understand the values of that organization and try to screen the candidates which best fit into their culture. Obviously skill set you would be making the right effort or right approach to hire, but I think it is important if the candidate dropout has to minimize, you understand the organization culture first, that what will click with this company and what will click with the candidate.
Sure. And again, Gaurav, the replacement resource cost is quite high, and how to manage the salary gap. I guess we've already spoken about this. Let me see a couple of more questions as well. We follow POE, post-offer engagement, for the offered candidates. Does it help, or candidates will the candidates get irritated with these POE activities? What are your thoughts on that?
No, look, if the candidate is serious about the organization, I think this is the best thing that you can get. If the candidate is getting irritated or frustrated, you can count on this that he will definitely be a dropout. Right? So, if I am connecting, so look, if I have hired an engineer or coder and I am actually making connect with the product manager whom I hired from Amazon or Google, I think that person would be excited to talk to these people, right? Because they're talking to the people who have worked with the great companies like these. They will definitely be excited to get to know the experience of these people within your organization. I'm saying that these what we call as love bombs. We have started calling it as love bombs because our current senior employees keep on sending the mailers to these people. And actually, it's not that they do the random calling or the cold calls. I think we appreciate and respect of the time of these people also because they are serving notice period. They might be under pressure to perform and deliver some task before the last day. So it's better to take time from them and say that, okay, one of our employee who have worked with this organization, share the LinkedIn profile that he wants to connect with you. He wants to share his experience with the organization in case if you have any concern. So take an informed decision. I'm sure that you have accepted the offer, but still if you have a concern, please connect with this employee and we would be happy to answer your question. It definitely helps. So the short answer, it definitely helps.
Absolutely. And since we also want to ask you more questions, but I know that we are running out of time. So I'll take one last question from our chat box for today. This is a big question though. So, hi, sir. I'm the owner of a relatively smaller companies into wholesale and distribution. Current staff strength is only 4 people at the location that I manage. I have used Monster and Naukri in the past for hiring. Just wanted to ask for relatively smaller companies like mine, is it best to hire through a reference for salespeople? The reason I'm asking is because I do not have much luck hiring salespeople online. Hope you can share your thoughts.
Okay. So since I believe that your organization is a small organization wherein you people are definitely very closely connected with each other. Definitely, the job portals can provide you with the preferred or with the resumes or the candidates. At the same time, reference is the best approach. If you can get any person through reference, I think that person would be knowing about the organization and you can be very sure of his or her performance. At the same time, if you are not getting success through reference, it is best to identify these candidates using the job portals. Ask your sales team to monitor them or create a rapport with them in the field rather than approaching them directly. Because if you're a small organization, maybe these people will not take the risk. But if your current people demonstrate that how your organization is adding value to their career, I think they would be, and then this act as a reference from these people. Reward them also because they are making some effort to demonstrate your company values to these prospective candidates.
Right, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Gaurav. We'd love to have you for some more time. But then, it's absolute pleasure hosting you today. I guess, all those questions answered very patiently. And I guess you took all the questions as well, mostly everything on the chat box as well. But I'm sure that they can connect with you as well. But thank you so much for joining with us today. Thank you for enriching your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Noel, for time, and I thank all of each one of you that you have taken out time to listen to me, and it was pleasure interacting with all of you. And thanks to Monster also, Noel and Monster team for hosting me. I hope that I'll get a few more chances to connect with you and join these webinars. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'll take leave now. Thank you so much, Noel.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Truly appreciate it. Absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, so please ensure that your feedback definitely matters. So please do take this survey so that we can serve you better. So we look forward to another action-packed session. This is Noel signing off from Monster. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of RecRoute. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.